the first two lectures on communalism of India that already we have finished. In the first part we dealt with definition of communalism in relation to secularism and religious tolerance, then the types of communalism, implications of communalism, stages of communalism in India, and in part 2 on communalism in India in particularly we have dealt the history of communalism in India or the historical development of communalism in India, and in the third lecture that we would like to discuss the factors behind communal violence in India, in particularly on the basis of political gains, economic causes, and historical reasons, then political appeasement as one of the factors behind communal violence in India, then isolation and backwardness of the Muslim religious community, then administrative failure, then psychological factors and role of media and also of social media as factors behind communal violence in India. Then we would like to discuss the very impacts of communalism in India as it disrupts social harmony, hampers economic growth, and weakens national unity. Then also it leads to electoral gains. Then those measures taken to combat communal violence or communalism, such as the necessary reforms in criminal justice system and minority representation, then administrative reforms, value-oriented education, then adopting the Malaysian and Hong Kong model into India, then finally on the NFCS, and then we would discuss and conclude our third lecture on communalism. So, regarding the very factors behind communal violence, communalism is often defined as a political doctrine that makes use of religious and cultural differences in achieving political gains, and as regarding economic causes, uneven development, class division, poverty and unemployment aggravates insecurity in the common man, which makes them vulnerable to political manipulation. And regarding history of communal riots, probability of recurrence of communal riots in a town where communal riots have already taken place once or twice is stronger than in a town where such riots have never occurred. Then regarding politics of appeasement prompted by political consideration and guided by their vested interests, such as the political parties take decisions which promote communal violence. Besides that, isolation and economic backwardness of Muslim communities as one of the important factors behind communal violence. The failure to adopt the scientific and technological education and thus insufficient representation in the public service, industry and trade, etc., has led to the feeling of relative deprivation among Muslims. The resurgence of Hindu-Muslim economic competition, especially among the lower and middle class, has fueled the communal ideology. Besides that, administrative failures, such as a weak law and order, is one of the causes of communal violence in India. Psychological factors such as the lack of interpersonal trust and mutual understanding between two communities often result in perception of threat, harassment, fear, and danger in one community against the members of other community, which in turn leads to fight, hatred, and anger, phobia among those communities. Besides, the role of media it is often accused of sensationalization and disseminates rumors as news which sometimes resulted into further tension and riots between two rival religious groups as the Hindus and Muslims. Besides that, social media has also emerged as a powerful medium to spread messages relating to communal tension or not in any part of the country. And the very impacts of communalism that we would found to discuss communalism disrupts social harmony leading to riots, loss of lives, and destruction of property. It weakens national unity, hampers economic growth, and fosters fear and mistrust among communities. Politically, it leads to polarization and exploitation of religious sentiments for electoral gains. The long term impact includes a fractured society reduced to an investment and diminished global reputation as a pluralistic democracy. Partition was the tragic culmination of decades of communal politics, whereby the British policies, the Muslim League's separatist ideology, and Congress' failure to counter communalism effectively. And now we would like to discuss those measures undertaken to combat communalism. So there is the need to reform in present criminal justice system, speedy trials, and adequate compensation to victims may act as a deterrent. Increase in representation of the minority community and weaker sections in all wings of law enforcement, training of those forces in human rights, especially in the use of firearms in accordance with the very conduct of the community's codified guidelines for the administration, specialized training for the police force to handle communal riots are the steps taken. And besides that, setting of special investigating and prosecuting agencies can help in damping major communal disturbances in India. Emphasis on value-oriented education with focus on the values of peace, nonviolence, compassion, secularism, and humanism, as well as developing scientific temper and rationalism as core values in children, both in schools and colleges, universities, can prove vital in preventing communal feelings. Government can adopt models followed by countries like the Malaysian model, which is otherwise called the Malaysian Ethnic Relations Monitoring System, that makes use of a Quality of life index included criteria such as housing, health, income, and education, and a perception index to get people's need and feelings about race relation in their area. Also, the Hong Kong model combating communalism by setting off a race relation unit to promote racial harmony and facilitate integration of ethnic minorities can be emulated by India. The Race Relation Unit has established a hotline for complaints and inquiries on racial discrimination. Meanwhile, to create awareness about communal harmony, the Race Relation Unit talks to schools on culture of ethnic minorities and concept of racial discrimination. Government can encourage and support civil society and the non-governmental organizations to run projects that help create communal awareness, build stronger community relation, and cultivating values of communal harmony in next generation. There is a need for minority welfare schemes to be launched and implemented efficiently by administration to address the challenges and various forms of discrimination faced by them in jobs, housing, and daily life. A proactive approach by the National Foundation for Communal Harmony, the body responsible for promoting communal harmony, is needed. The National Foundation for Communal Harmony provides assistance for the physical and psychological rehabilitation of the child victims of communal, caste, ethnic, or terrorist violence, besides promoting communal harmony, fraternity, and national integration. A legislation is required to curb the communal violence, as such communal violence prevention, control, and rehabilitation of victims. Bill 2005 must be enacted soon to combat exactly the different forms of communal violence in India. So, to conclude our discussion on the third lecture on communalism in India, communalism in modern India was not a natural outgrowth of religious diversity, but a product of colonial policies and socio-political transformation. While it began as a localized phenomenon, it evolved into a powerful force that shaped the trajectory of Indian history. Understanding its roots and stages is essential to addressing the ongoing challenges of communalism in contemporary India. So, communalism has taken a toll on Indian citizens and has affected a lot of families. Diversity as exactly the very affection or the effect of communal violence as it affected most of the people in India, either directly or indirectly. The communal issues should be handled with dialogue and understanding. Steps should be taken with the help of cultural exchange programs which promote togetherness The advent of globalization has also brought the world closer and aided in reducing communalism in its various forms in different countries, so also in India. So the very need of the hour in India, besides administrative reforms and reforms in criminal justice system and minority representation, the most needed agenda of the hour is to introduce value-oriented education among the students in school, colleges and universities, then adopting the very Malaysian and Hong Kong model. So this is the very important need of the hour to combat communalism in India.